These episodes are intended for mature audiences. Viewer and listener discretion advised.
A huge factor in just young marriages and relationships today is social media. People are going to post what they want to post. They're going to post what they want you to see. And if you're constantly scrolling on social media and you're seeing, oh, this couple is celebrating this many years and this couple is doing this and this man is doing this. Yeah, but I mean, you didn't see the argument they just had a week ago, or you didn't see the work that they had to do or the tough conversations that they had to have, the night before. Or you don't see those things. And so you think like, okay, maybe I have the wrong one, or I'm not doing something right because we don't do those things, or because I don't feel that way about my person. But it's they're on a different level than you. They're on a different level. They're in a different relationship, and that's their relationship. And he was asking me, and he was like, how do you not know this if you grew up in church? I'm like, I went to church, but I wasn't really taking notes. I wasn't listening. I was ready to go.
Exactly.
I was ready to go to food court.
Only person we listen to is Elder Hines.
Right,
Nobody else.
Yeah, our Sunday school teacher.
Exactly. Don't ask us anything in church, man. We're
right. Exactly.
Forever getting in trouble.
What'd you learn today? I don't know.
I know, right? My mom used to ask us every time. You're like, what y'all learn today?
We say the last thing we heard.
What was it?
Altar call. I get stage fright. And I really don't know why. Like if I'm at home or in my car or by myself in the shop, whatever, I can sing. I'll sing, right? Even if I'm in the car, like with my mom, like we'll sing. But like if I'm in front of people and people are watching me, I'm in my head about things, and I feel like I don't sound good. And then two, and obviously I don't, because it's the nerves. It's the nerves keeping me from sounding good. So then I don't sound good. But then also there's an even like deeper thing inside of me that used to fear being compared to my mom.
Hey guys, welcome to today's podcast. Today I have my sister, my friend, Kearstin. And we get really candid today. And we talk about marriage, and we talk about kids. We talk about the journey of mental health when it comes to getting into a relationship. All these things and more. So if you're looking to get married, looking to have kids, looking to have a long-term relationship with somebody, this is the podcast for you. Go ahead and tune in to get your coffee or get your tea. And if you're in the car, go ahead and turn up that dial, guys. Now let's get into today's podcast. Alrighty. Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast. Today we have my sister and friend Kearstin on. Welcome to the podcast, Kearstin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, anytime. First question. If you're 18 and you're graduating high school this year, what advice would you give yourself?
Okay. Let me be honest, through all the pre-talk, I didn't really have time to really think. But let me continue on what I was saying earlier. So, if I was 18 and graduating this year, the first piece of advice that I would tell myself is to live in the moment. Live in the moment. Take it slow. Don't be in a rush. Seize every opportunity in every moment. I'm gonna be honest. When I went into college, my mindset wasn't in the right spot. Well, actually, it was in the right spot because I had goals. But when I got to college, it was culture shock. It was a huge culture shock. And I don't know, I just kind of, like, I still had goals, but there were a lot of things that I, now looking back, wish I had done, that I was either afraid to do or I didn't take advantage of. So live for yourself, live for the moment. Like, you only go to college, undergrad, at least 4 years out of your life. And it goes by so fast. It didn't feel like it, but it went by so fast. And if I could do it all over again, I definitely would. But yeah, just living for yourself, taking those opportunities. Another thing that I think I would also be more mindful of, I'll admit, I was a little distracted. We didn't have many options in Belgium when it came to boys. Okay. But yeah, that was a huge distraction. I wish I had really focused and invested in myself first, than getting distracted and trying to invest in other people.
Okay.
Because that was a huge stressor.
Understandable. Yeah, I get that. Why? What made you like focus on others? Like, other than boys, what other things distracted you from being able to focus on yourself?
I mean, that was really it. I'm gonna be honest. I'll say, okay, I won't say that's the whole thing. It was the culture shock, because I'm coming from a graduating class of like 80 something students, and me being one of 4 Black students, right? To a whole university of thousands of students where everybody is Black except for 4 people,
Yeah.
So it was like, whoa, I've never been around this, and I really wanted to just soak up all of the culture, and I wanted to soak up everything. But then a part of me felt like really out of place, because everybody had their like cliques, like, oh, we're from Cali, we're from Atlanta, we're from the DMV, and I'm like, girl from Belgium. There was there another girl? No, I don't think so. I think later there was one other. Yes, later there was one other person who kind of could relate to my situation, being a military brat, moving from place to place. So we really got close, and we're really good friends to this day still. But it was just the culture of it all, and wanting to get acclimated to the school and get to know as many people as I could. And that's one thing I definitely did. I got to know a lot of people. My friend groups switched. I had to find my people. And then, like I said, the boys, like literally, I wish I hadn't done this, but when I graduated, there was a boy that I was kind of talking to. Then that carried into college, and I would kind of go see him, even though he didn't go to the school. I would kind of go see him because he lived in Virginia. But that was, I had to cut that off. So I did. And then literally right after that, I jumped into something else. And thinking back to it, like, this boy wasn't even all that, like, at all. Not even worth my time, but it caught my attention, and I was just swept off my feet for no reason. Like, wasted a lot of years. A lot of years of my life. Well, not life, but of like my college years, dealing with that situation, on and off and on and off. And then it'd be other situations. And so, like, I really wish I hadn't got distracted like that, because it took my mind away from me getting to know me and understanding me and being true to myself. Had I really focused on what I wanted to do, I probably would have accomplished some more goals. I probably would have saved up some more money and been intentional about that. I probably would have joined some clubs that I wanted to join. But I was like too afraid to, or just didn't want to. I don't know what stopped me. It was fear. It was fear that stopped me. And I really wish it hadn't. But I mean, overall, really just being true to yourself. Because people and situations will change you, but you have to really know what you're about, what you value, what I can't talk, what your morals are, and what your goals are, and stay true to that, because what's for you will be for you. You don't have to constantly go seek those things. In due time, they'll come. I don't know why I was even distracted by that. I think it's probably because I was so deprived in Belgium. Like, there was nobody to look at. But yeah, that I wish I could do that over again.
Yeah. You said that you had fear. Like, what was it of? Was it of like being disapproved of by other people, or just kind of like the situation and how it could like turn out?
So I'll explain. I'll be more specific.
Mm-hmm.
So my freshman year, I really wanted to join the choir.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't because I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't feel like I could like compete, or not even compete, but I didn't feel like I could compare to the people that were in choir. Honestly, I could have, like I can,
Yes.
but it was always, that's from childhood. Like that
Mm.
fear. I don't know if you remember, Gina. There was this one night we had a teen night at church long, 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 long time ago. You may not remember,
Go ahead.
but
Let me think.
it was some teen night and we had a little talent show. It was a talent show portion.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up and I sang this song. And the feedback that I got was, one, I'd sung too low, they couldn't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing, I think I was like in the middle of the song and I ran off crying. Partly because I did.
I
I
don't
was
remember
singing.
this.
I was really shy. I get stage fright.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't know why. Like if I'm at home or in my car or by myself in the shop, whatever, I can sing. I'll sing, right? Even if I'm in the car, like with my mom, like we'll sing. But like if I'm in front of people and people are watching me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my head about things, and I feel like, one, I feel like I don't sound good. And then two, and obviously I don't, because it's the nerves. It's the nerves
Mm-hmm.
keeping me from sounding good. So then I don't sound good. But then also there's an even like deeper thing inside of me that used to fear being compared to my mom,
Mm-hmm.
because she would sing, like everybody,
Yeah.
oh, she could sing, oh, her voice, da, 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 this, that, and I didn't always want to be compared to my mom because I didn't sound like my mom. I mean, shoot, I can belt it out like her,
Yeah.
but we don't have the same sound necessarily. um Even though, like, that's stupid now thinking about it, like that's stupid. People are going to have different sounds. um and at the end of the day, like, you have to be confident in you, because some of these singers, they got record labels and top songs. They can't sing, but they got the confidence.
It's
Like,
true.
so
It's true.
so going back, I really wish I hadn't let that fear stop me, because it's a choir. Like, if anything, you're singing with other people, but
Yeah.
I knew I had to audition, and that scared me.
Mm.
The audition scared me. Another club I wanted to join, another, not club, sport. I wanted to do bowling, actually. I wanted to do bowling. But again, I was like, no, I can't compete with these girls out on the bowling team.
What?
Yes, I could. Because I was in bowling class. I had to take bowling because I needed an elective. I took
Mm-hmm.
bowling class, and the teacher, he was like, why are you not on the team? With a house ball. Like, why are you not on the team? And I was like, I don't know. But I didn't feel like I could compete with those girls, even though, like I said, I could. I could. Um, and also, like, the tryouts were during lab, and I was on the ROTC scholarship. So I would have to, like,
Mm-hmm.
finagle my way to doing that. But that was it. It was fear. And that comparison, I wasn't confident in myself. And I wish I had used college to focus on growing my confidence, because then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you too, not focusing on my confidence in college then trickled then into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of just like moving in autopilot, doing what I need to do, working, paying bills, living, just doing life, meeting new people, friends, going out, doing whatever you do when you first get out of college.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm like married in a relationship, all of that's starting to come out. Like
Mm-hmm.
the confidence that I didn't build back then is now showing. And I feel like I'll say I'm confident, but I'm like 80% confident. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
even really truly believe it when I say it. Like, yeah, I'm confident. No, I'm not. Like in the back of there, no, I'm not.
Yeah, you're getting there though.
I'm working on it. Still working
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Sounds like basketball. Person has the best shot on the team and won't shoot the ball.
Oh, that was not.
Kearstin.
That was you.
No, that was not. That was
That was
you.
you.
Oh, ask
You
my
did not
mom.
miss.
She would tell you days long you had a better shot than me.
Okay, I'll take it.
No, now, since mom said it.
Yeah, since Coach Dottie said it, yeah, I'll take that.
Hold it. But man, you can sing too, dude. You can sing, you can bowl. But I get it. I get it. Comparison sucks because I used to do the same. I still sometimes do the same thing with my mom. Like, you just don't want to be compared to your
Mm-hmm.
parent. And at the same time, you're trying to be your own person. So,
Mm-hmm. And it's
yeah.
crazy to me thinking back because, like, now you got me thinking, like, who these people didn't know me. So why am I afraid to audition for these people who are just now meeting me and want to see what I can do? None of these people know me. None of these people know my mom or my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So, like, I wish someone would have talked to, I wish I had a mentor, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you know what? That's another point. If you're 18 and you're graduating this year, find you a good mentor, someone that you can look up to, someone who has maybe the success that you want to have. Find a mentor because I really wish I had one, someone to tell me, like, what are you afraid of? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's stopping you? And then I would have thought and been like, oh, you know what? Fear is stopping me. No, let me get out of that. I would have just thought and been more intentional about, how I move forward just in life in general, had I had a mentor, someone who can, say, I've been there before and like this is what I would have done, or like this is the route that I took that you need to take. Just somebody, even to this day, like I wish I had someone that I could be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. I mean, there's counseling and therapy, but I mean, that's not the same. That's not the
Yeah.
same. You paying
Yeah.
somebody to, sorry if there's noise in the back. My apologies.
You're good.
My husband,
You're
he's
good.
angry cleaning. Um, sorry, you can edit that out. Um, but I wish I had a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
even to this day, because like there are still things that I want to do and things that I want to accomplish and goals and dreams that I still have, while still being married, while still raising children, and while still trying to gain my confidence and find myself and really find like me again. Because motherhood and marriage, it changes you. You don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like you, or I can only speak for myself. Like I don't feel like the woman I was before having Mia. Which of course you're not because you're evolving, you're growing, you're raising a human being.
Mm-hmm.
But still that like sense of joy of being me and in my skin, like that comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
It comes and goes, and when it comes, it feels a little forced because like I'm forcing myself to try to be confident, like I'm forcing myself to get out there because I want to get back to me or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm really just trying to find that like just genuine spot where I can get back to Kearstin, or at least a new and evolved Kearstin. I'm
Okay.
still going through the process. It's up, down.
Yeah. I like it though. I like it.
Mm.
But you said like you didn't have a mentor, but something me and my friend talked about in a past episode was being in that spot where you feel like you don't belong, you don't really know what to do, you want to join a club but you don't because you're afraid of the rejection. And we talked about how we could have talked to each other because we were all going through the same thing, but
Mm.
we didn't.
Mm.
So with the people you graduated with, did you reach out to any of them and see if they were going through the same thing you were? Or were you like us where you kept it to yourself because I don't know, we weren't raised to really share our like problems, it seems like. Like all of
Mm.
us as military brats kind of kept our stuff to ourselves and put on this front whenever we were at school.
Mm.
And what I learned over the years is that we had a lot more in common altogether as a whole than we actually like realized. So did you
Mm.
have any friends like that for you who were there to talk you through anything?
Mm. I'm gonna be honest. When I started college, so towards the end of senior year or my senior year, my besties were Jamie, Gabby, Lizette, and even like Kiera. That was my girl, Um, and Paris too. That's my sister, our sister.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't think to talk to them or reach out. One, because so like Jamie, Gabby, Lizette were still in high school. They were a year under me. So I didn't really think they could relate. And also too, I was trying to, get to know new people, and just focus on getting acclimated to, one, being in Virginia, two, being in college, three, being around a whole bunch of Black people, and being around my family again, because my family is all in Virginia. So I was seeing them almost every weekend, going from going from years to not seeing them, like year
Yeah.
after years, to like now every weekend. So, I was busy, and I didn't think to reach out to, say, like Kiera, to be honest. And I don't even know, I'm trying to think. I don't think she went straight to a university right after. She might have, but we didn't really talk much after that. It's kind of sad. We should have. We should have. I mean, we kept in touch throughout the years. I went to her baby shower when she had her baby, and we talked through all of that. But it was like on and off. Like that distance really kills the connection. It does. You got to be intentional about keeping that connection. And I don't think that was on the front of my mind, which it should have been. But I was focused on other things. So no, I didn't think to reach out. And even
Yeah.
it's crazy, even like my mom, like we were besties. So like I could even went to her and been like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" But, me and my 18-year-old childish mind wasn't thinking that. I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking, mom's my bestie, she knows me the best, she could give me the best advice. I didn't really cherish that until after college.
Yeah.
Um, or, well, in college, later in college. But my freshman year, I was like, I want to get away from my parents. Peace out. I'm trying to get into this college life. That was my focus. And it was all wrong. I needed a mentor.
For real. For real. I completely understand because I think like we're all the same way. Like we graduate and we're like, we've been told what to do for our whole lives. Now it's time to go and be free. Then we're free and we're like, oh my God, take me back to being told what to do, please.
Take me back to being driven around everywhere
Exactly.
where
Oh
I
my
don't got to
goodness.
pay for gas.
Who told me? I thought adulthood was supposed to be awesome. All the movies, all the TV shows were lies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You made me think of
It,
something else and it just slipped my mind, but it'll come back to me talking about adulthood.
yeah. It's just crazy because like we get thrown into this world as soon as we graduate. There's no preparation for us when we get out of high school, especially for us as military brats who grew up overseas who are coming back to the States. There's no like, oh, you're going to have a minute of culture shock where you're not going to know what to do or what to say or what's really going on around you. There's just none of that to help you with your mental health to acclimate to a new place. So now you feel like you have to go through it alone. You feel like nobody else is going through it around you, but they really are. And then like you just feel like you're in this alone place, because I know that's how I felt for a minute when I was in college and I didn't know who to reach out to or who to turn to. I had my dad, but we both know at the time not the best relationship. So, and I had my mom, but she was across the waters. And that's another thing. Like we don't have our core foundation where we are. So how did you build your core foundation for you to have while you were in college?
My core foundation. I'll say this. So as like throughout the years, like I said, I was on an ROTC scholarship. So, my ROTC people that were in my class became my family. So, we would go to class every day or 2 days out the week, and then lab every week, and then we're at PT every morning, and then we're at breakfast every morning, and we're doing life together. So that was my family, still is. So I think that really shaped or helped shape, my foundation in college because we all had a common goal and we all had those same interests and we all were going through and doing the same things. Um, and so like that really kind of helped me through. But I just thought about it again, what I wanted to say earlier. So you were talking about adulthood and like,
Mm-hmm.
getting out there and exploring because we were being told what to do all the time. One thing that I do definitely regret in college is not using that time to build my own relationship with God because I was churched out. I was like, I don't want to go to church. I've been going to church my whole life every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Like
Very true.
Monday through Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, Sunday through Saturday. So
Basically.
yeah. So I was churched out. I didn't want to go. But I tried it. I tried going on to the chapel on campus. That didn't do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I tried going to other churches, with some friends of mine. That didn't really do it for me. I never found like a church home. But even like without a church home, I really took for granted like the knowledge or the resources that I already had. You have a Bible, read it. You
Yeah.
have a Bible app, read it. You have daily devotionals, read it. I wasn't focused on, building that relationship, but had I done that, I think that would have also allowed and helped me to get to know me because now in adulthood or even after college, I found a church home and I was going and I loved it. But even then I was kind of like infant Christian. I was going to church. I was serving on, the greeting team. I was going to Bible studies, but on my own, I wasn't really doing the work, the real work to read and get to know. And now in marriage where shoot, I'm trying to have me a godly marriage and follow those principles of marriage,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't really perform and be successful if you don't know it.
Yeah.
And so like now I'm like, dang, I'm kind of getting late into the game. I'm trying to get back into my Bible and get back into my devotionals. But now I got 2 kids, a full-time job, a
Mm-hmm.
house to take care of, responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been a great time to build that foundation that would have then set me up for adulthood.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
I get that. Yeah. In high school for us, church was every day, in and
Mm-hmm.
out. Um,
Good times.
yeah, good times. We had a lot of fun. There were days where we wanted to be there and hang out with each other. There were days where we got on each other's nerves and could not stand to be around each other. But
But yet somehow we always ended up in the car listening to music, waiting on
I
our
know, right?
parents.
Mocking Paris out of the door.
Oh yes, that girl.
I
She
blame
was
that one
too
on you.
easy to get. Too easy. Oh, I love it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But we had so much fun. But I also think I think we were churched out. Well, I know for me, my freshman year when I first got to college, I didn't go to church my first semester, and not too much my second semester. But then I moved to Methodist University where the Hineses are, and they invited me to their church, and they invited me to their house, and so it kind of felt like a little bit of home
Yeah.
was here. So I continued to go and continue to make that relationship with God. But the hardest thing for me was to realize that God wasn't the God that we put in our head when we were kids. It was all about rules and it was all about staying on this road and not messing up. And so once I got that out of my head and it was more about having a relationship with him than it was about following the rules of the Bible, then I was able to, get in the Bible, do more. And then, my life transformed to where the quote unquote rules or whatever were just natural. It was just like, why would I want to do that anymore? Or why would I walk that way anymore or do that anymore? So it just made more sense over time. But yeah, when we were kids, I don't want to follow that rule.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And it's funny. My husband asked me the other day, he was like, you grew up in church. Cause he was asking me like, do you know about this story? Do you know about this story? And I'm being honest, like a lot of these stories in the Bible, like, yeah, I know, but there's a lot that I still don't know. And he was asking me, and he was like, "How do you not know this if you grew up in church?" I'm like, "I went to church, but I wasn't really taking notes. I wasn't listening. I was ready to go. I was
Exactly.
ready to go to food court." you know,
Only person we listen to is Elder Hines.
right?
Nobody else.
Yeah, our Sunday school teacher.
Exactly. Don't ask us anything in church, man. We're
Right. Exactly.
forever getting in trouble.
What'd you learn today? I don't know.
I know, right? My mom used to ask us that every time. You're like, what'd y'all learn today?
We say the last thing we heard.
What was it?
Altar call?
Yep, altar call. Or God will set you free.
Facts. He sure will.
Saying every time. Oh my goodness. We tried it. We
funny
booked
you
it.
mentioned too about the rules. So my parents being preachers, being surrounded by that 24/7. My parents were good people and they were loving people to all people. But there were times where, like, it felt to me that they were a little judgy. And it could just be like their generation and their conviction, But me, like, I'm gonna love all people. I'm gonna accept all people, regardless of who you are, what you've done, what you do, what you currently, whatever, right? And I'm not gonna judge you, look at you different because I'm not perfect. And I still mess up and I'm gonna do things. But it's funny you say that because I remember, I think it was Halloween-ish sometime. I don't know. It could have not been Halloween. I might be making that up. But my dad had preached something and he had mentioned how like dreadlocks were like evil or something. And so it was funny to me because I'm like, why is a hairstyle not okay? Like he was saying how it represented something and it represent something evil, right? And I'm looking at a couple people in our church and I'm like, they got locks. So what does that say about them? And so that kind of always stuck in my mind as a question of like, why? Because it's just hair. And then later as I got older, that always stuck with me. I would see beautiful locks and I'm like, man, I'm gonna get locks one day. I was scared to do it, fear, right? But then last year I was like, no, I don't care what people say. I'm gonna just do it. I don't care what my dad says. I don't care what what anybody else says. I don't care about if I gotta cut these off later or whatever. I want to do it because that's the style that I want, and it looks so cute and it looks so easy and yada yada yada. So I mean, I did it. And my dad, I think when he first saw it, like he didn't say anything judgmental. He didn't say anything about it, but you could tell that like in his mind, he maybe probably questioned like why. And I'm like, it's hair. And we never had the conversation. I never brought up like that message to him. I probably should ask him. But I went like literally my whole life from that moment thinking that locks were bad. And I'm like, okay, all these people getting locks and it can't be. Like, really? Like, that's crazy to me. Something as small as that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what as kids, that's what we do. Whatever our parents say is bad, like it's automatic. Like it's bad. And we just believe it. Like, I know for me, it was always like food that I didn't eat or didn't try. Because my mom was like, oh, I don't like that food. It's gross. So I was like, okay, well, if she doesn't like it, then I'm not going to like it. So I just didn't try it. Then I got into college and I was like, hold up. Let me try some lobster. This is pretty good. Like, so,
I don't like lobster.
I mean, what example?
Yeah.
Slowly, I got out of that. Oh, wait, not everything she said is true. It was true to her, but it doesn't mean it's true to me. And to learn that and figure that out, like, you become a whole nother person. Because growing up, we're our parents. Legit. But then we go off to college, and that's when we like try to become ourselves. But until you realize that
our immature, crazy self.
Well, tell me after college, because like you graduated. Actually, no. Before we go there, tell me about your childhood. How did you grow up? how did Kearstin become Kearstin?
Well, growing up, I was the youngest child. That tells you a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest out of 3 and the only girl. That's it. That tells you my whole childhood. Right there. Boom, figured out. But no, I was growing up as a little girl. I was a daddy's girl, of course, because daddy's little girl. But also as I got a little older, um, my mom became a best friend. Just because I just really appreciated her as the mom and the woman that she was and the wife that she was. I really admired that. And I wanted to be, still want to be, so much like her. But let me think. Growing up in the church, a PK, our life was church, ministry, like I said, Sunday through Saturday. So for me, and especially being in Belgium, I tried to keep myself busy with sports and just different clubs and activities. Like I was doing everything. Because there wasn't really anything to do over there.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, because I didn't just want to always be at church. So I'm like, hey, if I'm traveling for games, I
Yeah.
can, be away and travel and just be with friends too. But yeah, that was me. And it's interesting you asked that because like I said, in marriage, it really just brings things out.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about my childhood and how it's affected me today. And I kind of, I don't even know how to say this. Like, I kind of was not really spoiled in a way, but not sheltered. That's not the word I want to say. But like, kind of catered to a little bit. Like my parents were both, loving parents. I come from 2 parents. So like all within that, I can take that for granted. I can take, just the support that they gave me for granted. Because Marcus, he had a very different upbringing than I did. So there's a lot of things, and he had to grow up a lot faster than I did. Really, I didn't grow up until after college, basically. I mean, naturally I grew up, but like mentally and emotionally, that work came later because I really kind of didn't have to do that work. You know what I mean? And so it's affected me now to where sometimes I can be a little self-centered sometimes, and I've realized that I have to be really intentional about how I treat and love the people that I care about and the people that I want to keep in my life. Because like I said, I've always kind of been, I don't want to say catered to, that's not the word, but
Well, I mean, you had your dad, 2 older brothers, and then your
yeah,
mom. So, and you were
I
the
always had that
youngest.
protection.
Yeah, you had the protection, and they were always there for you. I mean, Gavin and Justin used to pick us up all the time wherever we were, so it makes sense. Not catered to, but you were taken care of in the way that your older brothers and your father were supposed to do. So, yeah.
And so that then translates, like me picturing marriage, I pictured it being kind of like how my mom and dad, their connection, and their partnership in the way that they loved each other. I kind of expected that in marriage. But I mean, I'm not naive to the fact that didn't come overnight. They had their struggles too early on,
Yeah.
but now in marriage, I'm trying to emulate some of the things that I saw there, but it's not the same. Like there's more work that needs to be done on my part before we can get there. And so yeah. Yeah. So I think my childhood, honestly, what I really needed, I really needed people to really be honest with me more. I needed more Miss Dotties in my life, right? Yelling and screaming at me and giving me criticism and doing all that because
Mm-hmm.
like when I now hear criticism from my husband, I don't know how to take it.
Mm.
I don't know how to take it. I've learned now how to take it and I can. Um, but all the time, like, it doesn't feel good
Yeah.
because, he's telling me about myself. I realize that in marriage, I'm going to tell you about yourself because I see the ins, outs, ups, and downs, the good, the bad, the ugly. And you see the same thing in me because we do life together.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what I needed growing up. I needed people to be more real with me. I needed people to help me build that confidence in me. I know I can only build my own confidence, but I really needed someone to help bring that out of me, but I think I was the baby girl. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just, yeah, I think kind of messed me up in that way. So
Yeah.
now I'm trying to like regain that confidence and find that confidence and find me and who I am. And also, grow and get better and not have to, well, you know what? Actually, another thing before I forget, another thing that I wanted to say also in a conversation between me and my husband, and like all of this is coming out in marriage, I realized that growing up, I kind of felt um, abandoned in a sense, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. And so that kind of is why I'm still working on my emotional maturity because with my parents being married to ministry,
Mm.
I kind of felt like that came before me, which it did,
Mm-hmm.
and understandably so. Um, but as a child, I didn't understand it then. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, on weekends when they're not there because they have to counsel people or when they have to do these events in church and when they're there till late o'clock at night or when he's taking phone calls at night at all different hours to help people, like I admired it, but at the same time I'm like dang, like that comes before me,
Mm-hmm.
selfishly thinking and selfishly feeling that way because I shouldn't have felt that way. But that in a way kind of messed me up there too because I didn't feel like I guess my emotional needs were really, I mean, they were, but I don't think that I was really paid attention to
Mm.
and like poured into. I
Mm-hmm.
was, but it kind of felt like ministry was more important.
Yeah.
Understandably so. Like saying it sounds stupid and it
But
sounds
it's
silly.
it's okay though because like there could have been situations where ministry shouldn't have came first, and you should have because yes, like God is first and
God is God.
foremost. Exactly, but the church isn't God. Like the church
Hmm.
is like where we come to be and celebrate, worship God. But their relationship isn't the church. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, ministry is important, but so are you.
Hmm.
So don't say like, I understand, it's understandable, but you're important as well and your feelings are valid. Like you felt that way, even though yes, there were times where maybe it didn't make sense for you to feel that
Hmm.
way. You still felt that way. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
yeah, ministry is important, but so are you.
Hmm. So, like, in a way, like I said, I kind of felt abandoned is not the right word, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And so because of that, like now in marriage, I I forget the term. It's like an attachment style. There's a term for it, and I forgot
Codependent?
it. Huh?
Codependent?
Codependent? No, I should Google it. I don't know. It has something to do with like being that your emotional needs or your needs weren't paid attention to. You kind of overthink things. You're
Let's
um
see.
you're kind of like quick to assume things. You keep things to yourself. You don't really communicate. So like that then has affected my marriage because he'll say something to me.
You're right. It's abandonment. It's emotional abandonment. That's what it's called. How to cope. Yeah. It says, when emotional needs are unmet, that emotional hunger can result in you feeling unwanted, alone, unfulfilled, lacking, overwhelmed, put away, and the list goes on and on. So, yeah, emotional abandonment.
And so because of that, there are times where like I know he loves me, but he might say something, I'll overthink and I'll assume those things. I'll assume, okay, he doesn't love me, or I'll assume the rejection, and then I'll internalize those feelings. And then once those feelings are internalized, then you know your feelings and your emotions become actions.
Yeah.
So like I wish I had practiced having harder conversations when I was younger, having those hard conversations. Because like even my parents, there was one time, my mom, she had mentioned something about she was going to talk about sex with me, like when I was older, kind of thing, right? That conversation never came. It never came. So how did I learn about sex? Through school, you know, through other means and things and experience. So that conversation never came because I felt like they didn't want to have those hard conversations with me, but they should have.
Yeah.
Those conversations, I remember one time, now this is not for the young children's ears.
It's okay, they're not allowed.
You said what?
I said it's okay, they're not allowed.
I'm just saying, I'm about to say something that I probably don't want children to hear. But I remember one time, we were sitting in the living room. It was the Smiths and my parents, and we were watching some preacher on TV. And he was talking about something, and he mentioned masturbation. I didn't know what it was at that time. Me innocently asking and genuinely being curious, I was like, I asked my dad, I said, Dad, what's masturbation? And he was like, I'll tell you when you're older. Naturally, I go to school the next day and ask my friends. So I asked them, and it's like, why couldn't you just have that conversation? Like, what were you so afraid of? I don't understand. Because even if you think about it, young adolescent kids start doing that at an early age and don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't know that, but I mean, I know pretty early on I was curious about these things, but I had to find out about these things through my friends at school. And so when my friend told me, I was like, oh, that's why my dad didn't want to tell me. But why? Why are you so afraid to have these conversations? I'm not messing my children up like that. We're going to have all of the conversations. You're going to know about the real world. And if you have anything that you want to ask me, there will be no judgment. You can ask me because I want you to be knowledgeable so that you can then form your own opinions, your own thoughts, and be your own person. But I wish so like now in marriage, I struggle with having those hard conversations, especially when I feel like I'm at fault or I'm being criticized. I can't handle that. Wow. I can now a little bit, but I'm still working through it.
Yeah. So, what are you doing to work through that? Because I'm sure other people who are listening are in the same boat as you.
So to the people that are listening, how am I working through that? Well, to be honest, I'm reading my daily devotionals, getting back into the word, and to be more specific, so the Bible app is great. I download the plans. You use plans or the like?
For me, I every morning I'll listen to a preacher, and then I'll find a scripture for like how I'm feeling for the week. So right now I'm feeling a little doubtful. So I find different scriptures to, remind me not to doubt like the abilities I have, because it has nothing to do with God, everything to do with me. So
yeah. But so for example, a couple plans that I finished. Well, I don't. Oh, there they are. 7 guided prayers for your husband. So within these, it's reminding me to be, it's reminding me to change my perspective on my husband. So when he's talking to me or asking something of me or criticizing me, put into perspective. Don't just feel attacked, but listen to what he's saying, because he is also a person with feelings in this marriage. Listen to what he's saying to understand what he's saying, and then respond to what he's saying, not against or to be defensive and defend yourself. There's no reason to defend yourself. I'm still learning that because I'm quick to want to defend myself. That's another thing. I think I got away with a lot of things too, being the youngest girl in my family, and I shouldn't have. That messed me up. I shouldn't have got away with a lot of the things that I did. When I got in trouble or did stuff that I wasn't supposed to, my mom, she usually handled it with grace. It would be a conversation, and then we wouldn't talk about it again. I got off too easy. I got off too easy. But yeah, so like 7 guided prayers for your husband, love your husband challenge, just how to love. This is actually crazy. All of these are about my husband, but there are other ones, of course, about like, how to study the Bible, God's advice for women, and for wives. Like that was a really good one. But I try to go back in because that's essentially my mentor. Getting back into the word and trying to find what God says about, like you said, doubt, what he says about respecting others, what he says about how we talk to each other, what he says about giving each other grace and what that looks like. There's no blueprint for how marriage is supposed to work. It's all going to be different. Everyone's marriage is different. Everybody is different. But ultimately, if we're following and have the same principles and the same goals, then, we can find common ground and also just move in this marriage with love and respect ultimately.
Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick break to ask if you are enjoying this episode. Go ahead and follow us on Stories of a Dandelion right here on Spotify or wherever you're getting your podcast, as well as follow us on all of our social media accounts. Let's create this community full of military brats who feel that they're okay with opening up about their mental health, about sharing their journey, what they're going through, and create a place for beautiful healing through stories. So again, please go ahead and follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, as well as all of the social media accounts. Now let's get back to today's episode.
And humility. You really got to humble yourself because, even when you're dating and when you're single, you might put yourself up here. Like, I'm this, I'm that, I've got this, I've got that, I'm confident, blah, blah, blah. But then you get into a marriage with somebody and they see, like you said, the good, bad, the ugly, and you really start feeling down here like, dang, I really am not all that. But I mean, you have to humble yourself and then put things in perspective and constantly remind yourself of those basic principles. So that's what I've been doing. And also too, like just the arguing gets old. And hearing the same thing over and over gets old. And I'm tired of hearing it, but even more, he's tired of saying it. So you have to really think about that. Like, okay, your actions affect somebody else and how they feel. Yeah. They chose to marry you, and basically you need to show up.
Yeah.
So it's all about perspective and then being intentional about your actions and your thoughts. So like, for example, I can give you an example. He better not start in the front yard again. I'll give you an example. So during, I heard something. During our conversations, sometimes I would get defensive. Sometimes because I'm very expressive, sometimes I'll roll my eyes, and get an attitude naturally. And that just sets him off. Like, he's so big on respect. And so being that he's so big on, because that's what men need. They need respect. Just like women need love and affection.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible says that, hey, we got to respect and honor our husbands and we have to love our wives. And so, like, after hearing over and over and over that I wasn't doing that, or I was disrespecting him and not honoring him in this specific way, I then have to be intentional in conversations and keep it at the front of my mind. Okay, I'm not going to roll my eyes. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to look at him and I'm going to ask questions to understand. I'm not going to defend, because in the end, like, no one wants to argue. In the end, we both want to be on the same page. We both want to be, in good standing. But it takes work. And that's
Yeah.
the work. If that's the work that it's going to take, then you got to do it and keep it at the front of your brain.
Yeah. Okay. So you said perspective. I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you look at it as criticism? Do you think it feeling like criticism as soon as he says it already set you off, instead of it looking at it as like a conversation that you both need to have from love? Because
Mm-hmm.
criticism is such a hard word,
Mm-hmm.
like whenever we're criticized, like I just feel like something harsh is being said in the process, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
have you ever tried to look at it with a different word?
Um, I see, because we've had this conversation too. Because he was like, why do you see criticism as a bad thing? And so from those conversations, I don't necessarily see criticism as a bad thing.
Mm,
I see it as constructive,
mm,
constructive criticism. We could all use that from time to
yeah.
time. And that's just what it is, because, there are things that I need to work on, and there are things that, he and everybody needs to work on. I think why do I see it as criticism?
Yeah, because you said it's what, I'm sorry, I forgot. What's the word again? Constructive
Constructive.
criticism. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
constructive criticism. But it seems like in your head, it's not
It's
constructive.
just
It's just
criticism.
straight criticism. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. To me, I kind of internalize and I sit in the negative more than I
Mm,
do the positive.
mm.
And I don't know why exactly. And we just had this conversation earlier too. We talk about everything. Um, but I
That's
don't know
good.
why exactly that, huh?
So that's good that you guys talk
Oh,
about everything.
shoot, we have to.
Yeah.
I don't know why exactly that is. And I think it stems from childhood. I don't think I was criticized enough,
Mm.
except for Miss Dottie, and she would keep it real.
Oh,
Um,
always. My mom was the
and
best at
and
that.
it would hurt a little bit, but that's what
Mm-hmm.
I needed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I needed to push and do better and get better. I didn't
Yeah.
get that criticism from my dad or my mom. I got a nice little talking to in the
Mm-hmm.
past, and that
Mm-hmm.
messed me up. That messed me up. I
Yeah.
remember one time I had went to school and I had like you remember that spice stuff? It
Mm-hmm.
looked like weed, but it was something synthetic, right?
Yeah.
So I had some of that and I accidentally left on my bed. And that was the day I came home and mom cleaned my room.
Mm.
And she was like, what'd she say? She said something like, I found something in your room. And I immediately like blamed it on my brothers. I did.
Well.
And they were off in the military at that point. I was the only child in the home still. It was like
Mm-hmm.
junior, senior year, something like that. And I blamed it on my brothers. Like, I didn't learn to take accountability. That too.
Mm.
Like, taking that accountability and just being accountable for your actions, that messed me up. So I blamed it on
Mm.
them. And I don't even know if she really fully believed me, but she let me off easy and then like made me a grilled cheese.
I do remember you telling me this.
Right, yeah. But like I should have in that moment been like, yeah, I should have owned up to it. I should have been
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, this was mine. I was going to take it to school so I could give it to so and so he could roll it up for me and I was going to smoke it. I mean, later in life, she knew that I was doing those things. She
Mm-hmm.
knew, because I remember one time we were going to church and I had bloodshot red eyes. And She was like, go to the bathroom and wipe your face so you don't look so drunk. I was like, I'm not drunk.
You had
That's
your,
what I said. That was my response. Defensive as hell. I was like, I'm not
yeah,
drunk.
you had your
But that was
glasses on
stupid
in
because
church.
obviously if you're not drunk, well, then you must be high.
Mm-mm.
I don't even smoke. That's what I said too. I told her that as I'm high. I'm like, I don't even smoke. Like, that fucked me up. No, she should have been like, bitch, be honest. Just be honest with me. I'm cussing. I'm sorry.
You're
Just be
good.
honest. Like, I'm not dumb. Because if my children were to do that, I'd be like, stop the car. Don't lie to me. You know, like,
I do remember it though, because you came into church with glasses, and me and Paris looked at you. Were like, "What in the?"
we were headed to like some kind of vacation Bible school or something. And I just got
Yeah,
done blazing it down with my friends in the
I
woods.
completely remember that. You just
Yeah,
we're gonna act like we don't see it. Okay.
true. I was
But
bad. I was bad. That's the issue. I was bad, but I didn't get in trouble.
yeah, you got in trouble with my mom. That's it.
Oh, for
Every time
smoking
she
that black
caught
and
you,
mild.
yeah,
Because you
you
snitched
got.
on me.
I ain't snitch on you. I didn't even know you smoking black and mild to this very moment.
But see, it was me and Kiara, and we was taking some cute pictures. We had picked up black and mild from somewhere just to get some cute little smoking pictures. And yeah, she was just like, what'd she say? She said, it's very unbecoming of a young lady. And I felt really bad. I was like, yes, ma'am. Like, that's what I needed. That's what
I
I
don't know if she
needed.
got the pictures, guys. It was not my fault. I don't know what you're even talking about.
Gina snitched on me.
Okay, we'll go
Gina
with
was
it.
probably
Whatever.
scrolling, and then mom saw. I was like, wait a minute.
She might have been behind me. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. She probably
She
stole
might have
your
been
phone and
behind.
looked.
Probably. Who knows?
But yeah. But you know what? I'm glad. And see, that's the thing. That was a good thing that she had called me out and she came to me, because in our young, Instagram social media age, we didn't really know the
Yeah.
rules of social media. We were figuring it out as we go. So I'm
Yeah.
glad she told me, like, don't be posting these smoking pictures, because from then on, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be mindful of what I'm posting. I don't want everybody in my business,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a good thing. So like, had I
Yeah.
had more of that, I probably would have been a little bit more set up for life,
Yeah.
maybe. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I had all of it, and here I am. So.
But you know what? It's a balance.
Yeah. 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 I think for me, like, my mom was real, completely real. She told me about sex at the age of like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me about my period and my boobs growing on all these different things. Like, whatever I asked, she told me about it. But I feel like there were certain areas of like when I needed her love that I didn't get. But at the same time, I do also have to remember, like, my mom may not have gotten that for herself. So she may not have known how to give me that love in the way I needed it in that moment. Same way with my dad. He was raised to be a provider, not the father I needed. So he didn't know that until I finally was able to vocalize it to him. And now we have the best relationship I've ever had with him,
Awesome.
So it's just one of those things to realize that our parents were kids once too, and their parents may have not have taught them what we need. And now they're doing their best to be our parents while also being in the military. And for my mom, nobody modeled how to be a parent in the military for her, especially a single parent overseas away from family. You know what I'm saying? So I found more grace later on in life, like now, than when I had as a teenager, when I used to be mad at her. Be like, why are you not doing this? Or why is this and that? And, but also at the same time, sometimes I felt like my mom was being more of a mom to others as well. So it's a lot, because like she was a mom to you. She was a mom to Paris. She was a mom to Teresa, the basketball girls. And I was like, okay, when do I just get my mom back for myself? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's both a
No,
balance, but
I understand that. And I like how you said, like, as we get older, we give our parents grace, because like all the things that I feel like my parents could have done better, I mean, that was their way of parenting. And I'm giving them grace. And now I see and understand, like, one, it's already hard enough to be married and to be an adult and to have kids. One, that's already hard. But also, two, thinking back to how they were brought up, they were brought up in not the most ideal environments. So like,
Exactly.
my dad, he saw abuse, domestic abuse in his home. And my mom, same thing. And then she kind of went through that too before my dad. And so, they made a vow to each other to like not put each other through that. And then I think like through that love, they made a vow also to like make sure that we had the most loving environment so that they didn't, or so that we didn't have to like experience the trauma that they experienced. However, like them doing their best in doing that also then didn't set me up for success because we didn't have the hard conversations. I didn't get criticized like I should, or I didn't get the reality of my actions and what I was doing. And so now I'm paying for it later in life because I'm just now having to, I guess you could say, grow up, and be accountable for my actions. But I hadn't had to do that before because they were a little too loving.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
Dad,
get
if
what
you're
you
listening.
mean.
I love you.
He's amazing. Love that man.
Yeah, a great dad, the best dad, honestly.
Yes.
Before marriage, I was very independent. I could do anything I put my mind to, and I did. And I would accomplish goal after goal after goal. So even now in marriage, it is hard to let someone take the lead. Like when they say something, okay, that's what we're doing. But I'm like, but this way, like
it's so much easier.
But this doesn't really, and I can offer advice and whatnot, but he's got a certain way that he has a certain vision of how he wants things to go. And I have to trust that vision, even though I don't, may not always see the end goal or like know the reason why. I have to trust it anyway.
Yeah.
Or else it's gonna create turmoil. So one thing that I can say is, even though I grew up in a 2-parent household, with loving parents, I didn't, like, coming out of that, I don't think I really knew what it meant to be a wife. Even still, like, my mom didn't have those conversations of like, as a wife, this must happen. I kind of just watched and I observed and I noticed certain things, but the things that I noticed were all like surface, and I was a child. So the things that I noticed were from a child's perspective. But we never had the conversations of like, okay, like what is a wife's place? Like what is the wife's role in a godly marriage? Okay, what is the husband's role in a godly marriage? What should I look for in a godly man? Even those conversations we didn't have. What should I look for in a man? I'm going to have those conversations with my child because I don't want them to be impressed by the first man that, does anything for them. I want them to make sure that they're clear on what they want and what they don't want. Now, that doesn't mean like have a checklist and he has to meet all these boxes. No, like I understand, and I've always understood, because I heard this in a sermon once too. My mom was saying it. She was like, God's not going to send you the perfect man. He's going to send you a project. Now, here's the thing. That project though, like it has to be aligned to your goals and your morals. Like you can't just pick up anything and be like, oh, God sent me a project. Nope. Like you have to be intentional. Like you have to intentionally date to find someone who aligns with your vision, because if you don't find someone who aligns with your vision, y'all are constantly going to be clashing over like whose lead are we following. Like you have to find someone that you can totally trust and depend on, that you totally respect, and someone that totally trusts, depends, and respects you. And like, had someone told me that sooner, I mean, not saying that my husband is anything. Like he loves and he respects me, and I love and respect him. Like I found a good one, but I wish someone had told me that sooner, because, like I think I would have been more intentional when we dated. I would have been more intentional in asking certain questions. I would have been more intentional about showing, different parts of me, or talking about our goals long term, because then we got into a relationship really soon, really quickly. Got into a relationship really quickly because we just really connected and we had a lot in common. But there was still so much we did not know about each other. And so, like, the whole dynamic, like I just said, like me and how my childhood messed me up, and then him, how his childhood messed him up. And so we're coming trying to create a house, but it's just, so
Yeah, what
it's
you could have figured out in the dating phase, you're figuring out in marriage.
exactly. And so I wish we would have had more conversations about that specifically. Like, yes, I saw it, but you can't just depend on that alone. You have to have those conversations. Maybe that's why I felt abandoned. I'm like, dang, we didn't talk about anything. Like,
Yeah.
did y'all not pay attention to my eyes when I was high? Like, we didn't talk about like weed or anything. I mean, we talked about it a little bit because my mom, she had explained, like, in her childhood, her parents were the type, like, if you're gonna try anything, you try it in this house. And so, like, they were those type of parents. If you're gonna drink anything, you're gonna try and drink it in this house. Like, you're gonna do it here in front of us where you're safe. That wasn't even a conversation. It was like, no, you're not drinking. No, you're not smoking. So you know what I did? I went and drank and I smoked.
Of course, we're
So
kids.
yes, exactly. Because I'm curious and I want to know and have that experience. I remember one time we had like these little chocolates. It was a gift. They're like these little Belgian chocolates, and they had like liqueur in it or something. And I was like, "Well, can I try this in the house?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Dang!" Like your parents were so cool, and y'all are so mean. That's how I felt. Like y'all are out, enjoying your lives and doing what you want to do. But I think that's why I really veered off and just did my own thing in college, because I was like, I'm free now. I don't have my parents telling me what I can't do. I'm gonna do it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that just like continued, and I was just kind of just doing what I wanted to do
Yeah.
until I got married. And I'm like, I can't just do what I want to do anymore
Yeah.
because I have somebody else that's doing life with me, and I have to be mindful of that.
Whole wifey and a whole mommy.
I know, it's crazy.
It is
Don't rush it.
crazy.
Don't rush it.
Not trying to. But yeah, it's a long road to figuring out like who you are, who you want to be with, and all your goals and values. It's a windy road, and our parents can only do so much, and they give us the good, the bad, and the ugly because they saw it all too.
Yeah.
And
They saw it all, but sometimes didn't say nothing.
yeah, well, not for me. It was always said.
Oh yeah, you said so. And then I'll say this too: like they would say stuff to Gavin and Justin,
Yeah.
being boys and being older, but me being the baby, like I like what stopped them? I don't understand. Like, what are you so afraid of? If anything, you should be afraid of not telling me the truth and not telling me the real. Because being honest, thinking back, like in college, I had a pregnancy scare, and I mean, I didn't tell them that, but how do
They
we
know
have these?
now.
You said what? He says
They
out
know
now. I
now.
know it is, but I mean, luckily it didn't happen. I ended up just getting my period the next day, so I'm like, I think I miscarried. But it was a blessing in disguise because I would have been in a real bad situation, had that happen. And I think another thing too that really messed me up is all my life, or not all my life, but really later in life, as like my later teenage years and my adult years, I was always so afraid of disappointing my parents. And I don't know why. Like, I'm not living my life for them. I should find out what I'm living my life for. I should have been God back then. But
Yeah.
Ultimately you're living your life for yourself, to be a better version of yourself and to go through your mistakes and make your mistakes and live through it and learn through it. But because like even when I got pregnant with Nia, like I knew what I was doing. Like I was very aware of what I was doing. It wasn't a mistake. Like I knew this was my mindset. It's actually very jacked up. My mindset, like I had, before meeting Marcus, I had been celibate for a whole almost year because I was like, the next person that I'm going to have relations with, I'm going to be intentional about, and I'm going to, like, that's going to be the person that I marry. Then we met and we connected really quickly and we dated, like got together really quickly. And then literally within a couple of months, I was like, yeah, I think I want a baby. Stupid me, and that's from childhood too. Now I'm thinking about it. That's from childhood too, because anytime I'd be in the store with my mom, I would always go gravitate towards the baby section. I always wanted a little sister. But I always gravitated towards the baby section. I would pick up something and I'd be like, oh, look. And I'd give it to her and she'd be like, oh, and throw it.
That's the first lady.
She'd be like, ooh, and she'd throw it. And I'd be like, no, my baby. But I always, like, after I graduated college, I started working. Then I got my master's and I'm like, okay, what's next for me? On my mind, what was next for me was getting a house. Stupid, because I didn't realize how much of like a responsibility a house would be. Like I wish somebody would tell me that instead of like encouraging them. Yeah, get a house, get a house. That was my parents. Like, yeah, go look. No, why? No, that's more bills. That's more work. That's a lawn. That's all this other extra. I mean, the investment sure is great, but I should.
Yeah, wasn't
So, anyways,
necessary.
that was my
No.
next goal, right? That was my next goal. And then I met him, and then I was like, I want a baby. I've always wanted a baby. That's my next goal. This is the man I'm going to marry, and I know that. So, F it. So that happened. And then I was 4 months pregnant, and I was on FaceTime with them. And that's when I had told them they had opened up their Christmas gift, and it was a sonogram picture in a frame. And at first, they were like, happy because they were like, okay, we're getting our first grandchild. But then you could also see it in my dad's face that he was also a little disappointed because it's like my little baby girl is pregnant and she's not married and she's with this dude that we barely know. And so I could see like the slight disappointment is in his face. My mom didn't show it because my mom's good at hiding her, emotion. And then also too, she was just happy that she was getting a grandbaby, That's really it. She didn't care. She could care less about, the mistake that I made.
Yeah.
But I could see the slight disappointment in my dad's face and I broke down crying on FaceTime. I broke down crying. I was bawling. I couldn't control myself because I felt like I disappointed them. And even after I got pregnant too, like I stopped going to church because I'm like, I'm going with a belly and I have no ring on my finger. I felt shame. So I stopped going to church. I stopped serving on the greeting team. I stopped going to Bible study because I felt bad. I felt guilty for my mistake. And then when the baby was born, like I didn't feel that guilt anymore because, I saw how beautiful this baby was. I was so excited. Everybody was excited. My parents, they were super excited. So I didn't feel that guilt anymore. But I did have that deep desire to make things right. And that was another mistake. Like just, church and growing up in the church has you thinking like, get pregnant without being married, sin, 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 having a baby and not being married, but being shacked up with this dude, sin, sin, sin. So I always had that deeper desire to like make things right. And that then resulted in me kind of pressuring him to like get married. And that was even the wrong mistake. And I even told this to him before, but I was like, honestly, when you propose, like, yes, I put some pressure on you. Yes, I realized I did that because I wanted us to be a family. But also, like, when he proposed, I had some doubts. I had some doubts, and I should have said no because we should have stayed in that dating phase to get to know each other, not to get married. We shouldn't have rushed to it. We should have stayed there to work some things out first without that added pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I told him that. I was like, I should have said no. But the situation, it was, my mom was, hospice.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, I want her to know this is going to happen before she goes. So I'm like, okay, great. So our mind was there, But
Mm-hmm.
even as he was happening, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. It was a
Yeah.
lot of pressure at the time, but so now we're still going through all of the things. I mean, and
Yeah.
things, I'll say this, like things, when things are good, things are great.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is my man, my man, my man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But when things are bad, like with any marriage, like it's rough.
Yeah.
Not like bad, bad, but like, we don't talk. I'm trying to be on
Mm-hmm.
the thing. He mowing outside, he's slamming doors and cleaning frustrated. I mean, we'll eventually get over it, but it's just going to take a conversation and it's just going to take more work.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in the beginning stages, so like yeah, it's just gonna take getting used to each other, learning each other, changing, so that you can make the relationship you want to have work.
And
So,
you know what else is like a huge like factor in just young marriages and relationships today is social media.
mhm.
Like people are going to post what they want to post. They're going to post what they want you to see. And if you're constantly scrolling on social media and you're seeing, oh, this couple is celebrating this many years and this couple is doing this and this man is doing this. Yeah, but I mean, you didn't see the argument they just had a week ago, or you didn't see
Yeah,
the work that they had to do or the tough conversations that they had to have, the night before. Or you don't see those things. And so you
yeah,
think, like, okay, maybe I have the wrong one, or I'm not doing something right because we don't do those things, or
yeah,
because, like, I don't feel that way about my person. But it's they're on a different level than you. They're on a different level. They're in a different relationship, and that's their relationship. You need to focus in flower or not flower. You need to focus and water your relationship and, come to a common understanding of what you want for your relationship. And a lot of people, they compare, and
hmm,
because they're comparing, it's like, okay, I'm not getting what I want or what I need, what I feel like I need. And so then you either get out the marriage, or you stay in it, but you're miserable and you don't
yeah,
try. Like
yeah,
both people have to have the end goal in mind. It's like, hey, no matter what, we're going to work through this. Like the problems, like I said earlier, the problem is the problem. And, it's not my spouse. It's just us merging. It's just us becoming one. That in
hmm,
itself is a whole different ball game than just dating.
yeah,
Um, and so it's really like you have to be intentional about going after what you want.
definitely,
What I learned was, or what I've always known, is that like what's for you will be for you, and
exactly.
the timing of things is going to be just right when it happens. So like even when meeting him, like the timing was right, because even for him, like he went through a phase of like, okay, I'm not dating anybody because these girls are all hoes and blah blah blah,
Hmm.
and so then when he ran into me, and like the way we met, it wasn't at like a club, it wasn't out, it wasn't on a dating site, it was natural. Like I was teaching his nephew. Did I tell you the story?
Nice to know.
No.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Oh. So I was a fifth grade teacher and I was teaching his nephew. He was in my class. We went on the fifth grade end of the year trip. And also his mom also worked at the school. She was an eighth grade teacher at the time. And so she knew that we needed another male chaperone for the trip. So she asked her
Hmm.
son, and he was like, all right, I'll do it for my nephew. And so then he comes on the trip. Um, and then he says the moment he saw me in the cafeteria was when he was just like, dang, who's she? And I was looking at him like, who's this guy? Who's this buster? What are you doing here?
It's just Buster.
I didn't know who he was until, we got on, because I wasn't in charge of like anything. I was just a teacher,
Hmm.
on a trip. It was
Hmm.
my friend who was in charge of like the chaperones and the logistics of the trip. So I didn't know until like we had our little chaperone meeting and we're like loading the bus. But I'm like, oh, okay, this is, Mr. Marcus. Okay, nice. You're Cam's uncle. Okay, cool. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. Um, and then on that trip, it was just history from there. Like, it was a couple days, like 3, 4 days, and we're taking care of the children. So, like, in that time, I'm seeing him. I honestly thought he was a little older than what he was.
Hmm.
But in that time, I'm like, oh, he's so good with the kids. And I'm like, oh, he's so thoughtful. And oh, he's, such a nice guy, a sweet guy. I want to know more about him. How old is he? And so then after the trip, so this is what happened. So at my apartment at that time, on Sundays, like once a month, they do yoga and mimosas. It was lit. So basically, they had a yoga instructor come and they would serve mimosas. And so I was telling my coworker about it, and I was like, "Yeah, y'all should come." Our coworkers, I was like, "Yeah, y'all should come to my apartment. They do yoga mimosas." And they're like, "Okay, cool. Just let us know." And he had overheard what I was saying. He was like, "Oh, that sounds lit," or he said something about it. And so I don't know why, but I felt kind of obligated. I'm like, "Yeah, you can come if you want to," because he had overheard. But also in the back of my brain, I'm like, "No, I don't
I
want
ain't
this
invite
guy to
you.
come. Like, I don't know this guy. I don't want him to come to yoga mimosas." But we got back to the school. We get off the bus, and he was like, "All right, let me know about yoga mimosas." And I'm like, "Okay." Even though I really had no intentions of really giving this man my address, but I did. We had exchanged number, or I had his number because we were chaperones. I had his number because we were chaperones, but I had texted him like the pictures that I had taken, of his nephew. And so like, here are the pictures. So I was sending all the pictures to the parents that I was taking pictures of. And then after that, he was like, "Okay, what about yoga mimosas?" I don't know if he mentioned it or I mentioned it first. I don't know. But somehow I was like, "Oh, F it. I'm going to just do it." So I sent him the address and the time, and he showed up. He came. And in that time, we did yoga. So we worked out. It was nice. And then in the hot sun too, and this man wore pants, like not sweatpants. What do you call those ones that when you walk, he goes, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Those like jogging pants.
Oh, yeah, tracksuit type of pants.
Yeah, like those kind of pants in the hot sun. And so I'm like, this man he don't got it all the way up here. He's got hot pants in the hot summer sun. But anyways, we had a great conversation after that as we were drinking mimosas. And I was getting to know him more. So I'm like, "Okay, you're a musician. And okay, you go to this church. And okay, and like, all the things. Okay, you also, come from a family of 3 kids and you're the middle one. Okay, cool." So like we found that we had a lot of common. So then after that, he leaves, goes home. And then we keep texting because we were talking about Black Panther. And he was like, "Oh, I haven't seen it yet." And I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen it yet either." Or had I? I don't know. Anyways, but he was like, "I want to go see it." So I'm like, "Okay, we should go." And so then our next date was going to the movies to see Black Panther. And it was really at the movies where it like solidified, our second date, where it like solidified for me. I'm like, "Man, me and this guy are so much alike. We have so much in common. We share the same sense of humor." And I don't know if he knows that I'm high right now, but I can tell that he's also high. So I don't want to bring that up yet, but I think that's literally what I was thinking. And then later, on our third date, like we got to talking, we took walks, and it was really like that summer. It was like a summer love. Like, I was off of school, and so we hung out like every day, every single day. And whenever he was off, we would hang out, get to know each other, and chill. So like we really fell in love. And yeah, the rest is history. That's the story.
The rest is history.
Yep. The rest is what it was.
What a cute little meet cute. Is that what they call it nowadays?
All
Meet
that
cute.
to say that it happened naturally. I wasn't looking for anybody. I don't think he was either. I knew that I was eventually going to find somebody in due time. I wasn't worried about it because I was tired of dating. I was tired of going through men that weren't worth my time. I was tired of the booty calls,
I understand that.
But so like I had to do something different. So I went on Amazon, I got me a cute little purity ring, and I wore it to remind me. I did. I got like a little band, and I got that to one, scare off any boys that wanted to talk to me. So I literally wore it on my ring finger. And then also two, just to remind me that like I'm being intentional about who I want to be with and give myself to. So
That's
yeah,
good.
that's what I did.
That's nice. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I'm in the same place that you were. I was just like, I'm like, if I date somebody, awesome. But if I don't, awesome. Like, I'm good where I
Mm-hmm.
am. I'm good with who I am. And, that person will come eventually. Just when God adds that time for him to be in my life.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be beautiful. It's just you don't want to rush it because then it won't be beautiful. You're gonna rush into something that you don't want to be in.
It's going to be a beautiful mess.
Exactly. Exactly. And he gonna talk like that with that accent too.
Oh God, please no. I don't need a bill in my life.
Yep. Billy Bob.
Shut up. Can't
Straight from
stand you.
Nebraska.
No. Oh my God, no. Nobody wants to go to Nebraska for no Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Ugh. Yeah.
Okay. All right, last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years. Shoot, right here at this desk. No, let me think. 5 years for real. So in 5 years, I'll be 31. So I'm gonna be honest. Career wise, I'm unsure because right now, and really the past couple years, I'll be honest. So I've always been a go getter.
Mm-hmm.
So I like if I have a goal, I'm gonna go and accomplish that goal. So 2 years ago, I was like, I want to have a side hustle
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be able to make like passive income off that side hustle because teaching I don't pay that much, right?
Yeah.
And I want more money. So so I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try this Amazon thing. That's what I told myself. I was like, I'm gonna try this
Mm-hmm.
Amazon thing. I'm gonna look into it because, people have done it and been successful. And, I could do it too if I put my mind to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started it and I started doing all that stuff. And then my mom died.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like just lost all motivation and I was like just numb for like a whole year at least. And I never picked it back up. Like I would try to get back into it, but I never like really got back into it. It took some time, at least a year, maybe two,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm still like I've kind of gotten back into it here and there. I'll dabble, but I'm busy. Like I got kids, I got a full-time job, I got responsibilities, so I haven't really fully got into it. But right now, my mind is thinking about other things. So I'm thinking like, okay, what else can I do online to create this passive income? So I'm like looking up some stuff and I'm also thinking about, okay, I want to stay in education because I know I do. I love being in education. But how can I make education work for me? How can I make more money in education? So I'm thinking and considering, being in education consulting. So where I'm like, consulting schools and like being my own business owner. And honestly, I wanted to like get another degree before doing that. But you don't need another degree to do that. Like with the qualifications that I currently have, I could start today if I wanted to. I just got to put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm thinking about all of these different avenues that I could take. So right now I really don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. It really is all based off of the work that I do today, this year and next year. I don't want to be numb and complacent and stuck anymore. Like I want to get past that and I want to grow past that, because I can't grieve forever. I
Yeah.
mean, it still comes and goes. Like literally the other day I had to get out an ugly cry,
Mm-hmm.
because it really breaks my heart. It makes me sad that my mom didn't get to be that grandmother that she wanted to be, and it makes me sad that my children won't get to experience her growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a good little ugly cry, that's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
But then you dust yourself off and you move on because you can't stay in one spot. So hopefully in 5 years, I'm settled in something. Hopefully, I want to say, I'm just saying, education consulting is ultimately what I want to do, whether that's 5 years or 10 years. That's what I want to do, because I don't have the desire. Like where I currently am in school now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
over the math department. I'm teaching teachers. I'm the instructional specialist, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to stay there. And I don't want to go up to being admin, assistant principal, but like, I don't want to do that. I have no desire to be an administrator. I kind of am now, but I like the
Mm-hmm.
level that I'm at, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like I'm admin, but I'm not really admin.
Yeah. Not too much. Not too many responsibilities, but just enough.
Well, no, a lot of responsibility, but I don't have like whole school responsibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You ain't
Yeah,
got
I'm
all them
just
kids
math
like that.
department, math,
Yeah.
just math, just my 6 teachers. Um, but I really do want to be able to, and I know this sounds like cliche because this is everybody's dream, but I want to be able to work for myself and create my own schedule. I want to
Yeah.
be able to have that freedom if I want to go on a trip with my family and we take a trip and we have the funds and the time and the energy to have, that option. Like everybody wants that. That's everybody's
Mm-hmm.
dream. So I'm hoping, through the work, like I said, the work that I'm doing now to get there, that, I can make that happen for my family.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well,
And
you
also
heard
too,
it
I'm
here
just passionate
first.
about teaching. You said
Okay.
what?
I said you heard it here first. That means that it's happening. You've committed to it right here.
I guess I've said
And
it, so now I just gotta do it.
exactly.
Let me write that note. Just do it.
Yep. I'm gonna be texting you all the time, be like, have you started yet? Have you started yet? I'm gonna annoy the crap out of you.
And I'll be like, Gina Block.
God dang it. Mom, I need your number.
this sender, or this what do the messages say? This number is no
Yeah.
longer in
Yeah,
service.
no longer answer. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
then when I make it, I'll be like, hey Gina,
I know, right? I'm like,
from the
really?
same number.
But who is this? I think I
Mm-hmm.
deleted this years ago. I don't know. Somebody blocked me from it.
I'll be like, you know who it is.
Yeah.
No.
So that's what you want career wise. Okay, how about personally for yourself? Like in mentally, self care, self love, all that.
I mean, ultimately, honestly, I want to get to a place where I'm super confident in me and myself. So, like, if I had a big goal, well, no, I'll bring it down.
Mm-hmm.
In 5 years, I definitely, really in a year, I want to make it my goal to get back in shape, because after two babies, it's hard to, especially when you got to take care of the two babies. It's hard to, but I mean, it's possible. It's possible. You just can't make excuses, and I make excuses,
Mm-hmm.
being honest. Or sometimes I just don't make excuses. I just don't want to do it. I'm lazy. So I really want to get back to a point where I'm confident in like my body physically,
Mm-hmm.
because like, I am, with my husband and all, but when you're out in public and you're in certain clothes or whatever, like you don't always feel super confident. And I don't really even honestly feel like me, because I've always been pretty fit, like since high school, doing basketball, cross country, volleyball. Like I've always been somewhat in shape. And then even being in the military, you have to be in a shape, and that shape is
Yeah.
not circle. So like I have to get back to just being like that fit me,
Mm-hmm.
fit me, get back to um feeling confident and having just like that positive and loving energy all the time. Like at work, it's easy to have that positive loving energy, but at home when I'm tired, like it's hard to. It's hard to, and especially when you're around the people that annoy you the most. You love them the most, but you hearing "mama, mama" every day. Can, why did? Can y'all say another word? Mommy? No, not that one.
They getting there.
Yeah, so I want to be able to like really be that just loving, bubbly, just confident Kearstin again,
Mm-hmm.
in 5 years, and that really starts with me and the work that I put in myself. I have to really invest in myself, and I haven't, because I'm investing in a whole bunch of other things. My children, my husband, my job.
Mm-hmm.
or actually 2 careers because I'm still in, the Army Reserves. So
Mm-hmm.
like, even though that doesn't take a lot of my time, I mean, still there are still responsibilities and things that I have to do, and I'm always doing just something for everybody else and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. And so I really just want to, like I said, just getting back to a confident me, getting back to me, or at least this new version of me.
Yeah, that's
hmm
good. That's good. How long have you been in the Army Reserves?
Next year it'll be 8 years in May.
Oh,
hmm
okay. You doing all you going all the way, or you just seeing how it
I don't
goes?
know. They really starting to piss me off. So let me tell you what's going on right now. So this is gonna be quick. So they really starting to make me mad because
Mm-hmm.
so after 2 years you get promoted to first lieutenant. First of all, I got that late because the unit I was in was like, I don't know if they were like just weren't tracking my paperwork, or like I don't understand what was taking so long. But like I had to wait like an extra year, maybe year and a half to even get promoted first, right? They were
Mm-hmm.
like, "There's a flag on your account," and I'm like, "For what?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't even know." And they're like, "Oh, it's gone now." But like I didn't like,
Mm.
how was there a flag and now there's not a flag? I did nothing to take this flag off, and nobody could tell me what it's for. I don't know. I don't know. It probably wasn't a flag. Someone was probably just BSing because they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But anyways, so then after you get promoted to first lieutenant, uh, you wait another, I think it's like 18 months, um, or 2 years, something like that, to get promoted to captain. Um, And in the past, those two promotions were automatic. But recently, getting promoted to captain was not automatic. Like you had to be selected.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, like I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for like to be selected to be promoted to captain, but it's no one at my unit could tell me like, okay, you had to do this and do this and you have to do this, or they couldn't tell me like, okay, this is why and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
No one had the information. It was just really unhelpful. So finally, I got some helpful information last year, or this year. This
Mm-hmm.
year, so early this year, I made sure that my stuff was, submitted to the board, and I was selected, to be promoted to captain. So I made the list. But here's the thing. So the branch that I previously was in was the medical service branch. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
commissioned in. That's what I had been up to like till June. And they kept sending emails saying, the medical service branch is oversaturated. We need people to transfer to either logistics, quartermaster, something. We need you to transfer to another um, branch if you want to, have better chances of getting promoted,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So I'm like, okay, well, let me do that. Let me go ahead and change to logistics because I was trying to change units anyway. And with med service being my branch, you can't just transfer it to any unit. It has to be a unit that has a spot for you open. But
Mm-hmm.
logistics, you can go anywhere with logistics because every unit needs a logistics person.
Yeah.
So I had changed to logistics because that's what they had suggested, and they had emailed me, and they had helped me, get the checklist and submit the things so that I could branch transfer.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I'm hearing from the people at my new unit, and they're like, hey, your promotion request or promotion something has been denied. I said, denied? Why? And they were like, because you had changed your branch before the promotion results came out. I said, nah. I said, no, that's some BS. And so I asked, I was like, okay, is there any way I can appeal or fight this? Because they were pushing for people to branch transfer so
Mm-hmm.
that they could increase their chances of getting promoted. But then when I transfer and get promoted, y'all are telling me now it's denied. No, that's some BS.
Yeah.
That's some BS. And you're playing with my money at this point.
Most
Like, run me
definitely.
my captain coins. You're playing with my money.
Yes.
So I'm still waiting on a response. And honestly, if this don't go through, I'm probably done because it's just a lot of BS with the army. Like when you're dealing with a business that is solely run by people, like they're people business, people are gonna make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
People are lazy. People are incompetent, you know. And it's just like with the reserves is I feel like people are least helpful in the reserves, or they always have their mind on maybe their like main job, which is understandable. But like you still got to do right by people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and I don't feel like it suits me anymore.
Yeah.
You still have reserve units that get deployed. Like my friends, some of them are deployed right now. In the reserves, doing full deployments. You know, we still do the same training on the weekends that we go and the 2 weeks that we go in the summer. Like I busted my butt in June, was it being the OIC of a whole FTX lane or AWT lane, the Army Warrior Task lane. And that was a lot. It was a freaking lot. It was a lot of learning. It was a lot of doing. It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of pressure. And I'm glad that was over because that was the most like just rigorous 2 weeks of my life in the hot sun under just, I hated it. And so I'm just like, look, I don't know if this serves me anymore. But so look, anyways, I changed my branch and I switched units. So like, honestly, the problem could have been that last unit.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that, you know, this unit that I'm currently in is a little bit better. So we will see.
I'm hoping for the best for you, my friend, my sister.
Me too. Because they about to lose me.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I hate to lose the money, the part-time money, you know, because it ultimately goes to bills too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I could do something else. That's why I need something else, some passive I could do, and just, you know, something with minimal work where I can, like the internet, we can use that, honestly.
I got you. I text you every day.
Like you doing podcasts, like that makes money. That's a good, you know, sorts of, you know, passive income. Well, it's not passive because you're actually working.
Yeah. I mean, it takes time. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes time. It takes, you know, your energy, your effort, money, because you have to get your equipment. But, you know, in the end, it's an investment. You know, you're investing in yourself and your career. So like, yeah, because we got bills to pay.
Sure do. Oh, life and man, it's crazy, but it's, you know, it's what we're doing. We're out here now and going with the flow, getting older and trying to get wiser. All right, friend, sister, thank you for being on. It has been a pleasure as always, and I love hearing your story and thank you for sharing it. Of
course. I mean, shoot. Honestly, before coming on here, I was like, I'm not prepared to talk about mental health. I'm no way qualified to talk about these things. But I mean, shoot, it's sounding like literally we're all going through the same things. We all have the same thoughts, not the same exact thoughts, but like we have the same feelings about things. And sometimes it's just good to just get it out there and say it, because then you start to make sense of it. And,
exactly.
You know, just put things into perspective.
That's what I was trying to tell you when I texted you about doing this. I was like, I don't need you to know anything about mental health. I just want you to share your journey.
I don't need this criticism, okay?
Whoa. You know what, guys? On that thought, it's time to go. Whoa, I've been getting hit hard. It's way too late for this. I'm not ready.
I don't need you criticizing me, okay?
Okay, wow. Oh my goodness. Oh. Well, don't do that. Don't start sniffling. Don't start doing those fake sniffles.
I'm emotional. I can't take it. No,
worst actor in the world.
That's what you were telling me. And honestly, I just, you know, I like to talk. So I was like, heck yeah, let's do it.
Well, thank you. It's been awesome. It's been amazing. It's been so much fun, as always.
Well, thank you.
What'd I tell you? Such a good episode. And it's a long one. I'm not gonna lie to you. 2 hours, but I couldn't cut down anything else. Everything that we were talking about is so true to mental health, so true to relationships and how our mental health can affect it. So if you know somebody that you think needs to hear it or it could help, Share it with your friends, your family. Go ahead and share it all over social media. And let's get the message out there, guys, how important mental health is for all of us, not only as military brats, but for those around us that we interact with every day. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you all next Military Brat Monday.